What is up, guys? Wrestling Premiere is here. Out of every place I could have gotten the idea to make this video, it stems from SVR 2007 of all places. So I'm getting my ass beat with Shelton in season mode when I think to myself, oh, I've yet to make a mid-card title reign, and so I went with this. Now, did I have it on my list? Yes. But I was more inspired to make it when I was playing the game. Also, I figured I need a good title reign, mid-card, to start off with. So I chose this. Benjamin at this point was no stranger to the bright lights. The man already had experience with championship gold, that being the tag titles, and this run in particular, at least to me, is definitely top 5 in terms of mid-card title reigns from the 2000s in WWE. Talk about making a star out of someone. With the IC title on his waist, Shelton was given the opportunity to shine inside the ring, and man did he. He may have never had that charisma everyone talks about, but to me, I don't think he required it. This is just me. I don't think he required that charisma. Could have gotten a manager because the guy was just insane in the ring. He always got the crowd popping for his spots, his moves, his comebacks, everything. It was flashy, entertaining, awesome in that ring, and Monday nights were his time to shine, and you'll be pressed to find a better young athlete than him from 2004 to 2005. I could talk all day long about why I love Shelton Benjamin, but this video ain't about that. So, let's go back to 2004. Now, at this point in time, Benjamin was pretty over. He managed to beat Triple H 3 times, and honestly set the stage for his Raw run. Up to that point, I don't think even Stone Cold Steve Austin beat Triple H 3 times, let alone once. Obviously, they weren't outright clean, but still, once Earl Hebner, or whoever the ref was, hit the mat for the 3 count, the fans went crazy. Those 2 victories put Shelton on the map, and he was a star to watch. He was in form throughout the entire 2004. Anyways, up to October 2004, Shelton was established in a way, but there was one thing that was missing, and that was championship gold. At Taboo Tuesday, Chris Jericho was sent to defend the IC title against, well, that was the problem. He didn't know. It could have been Batista, Rhino, hell, even the coach. It was up to the fans. As a result of this, Jericho legit struggled to set up this match. The scenario, it was interesting. He had to call the match, the spots on the fly, and it was unlike anything he ever did before. I mean, other wrestlers do it, you know, Ric Flair. I believe Ricky Steamboat does it on the fly, but I don't think Jericho was one to, do it. This was, one of the first times he's ever done it, I guess. Right when Shelton won, 37% by the way, when Shelton won, the referee straight up informed Jericho to finish there. That's all. They had to rely on their experience. Y2J, by the looks of it, worked as a heel to get the fans behind Shelton. And if I didn't know this story at all, I doubt I would have realized that the match wasn't prepared for. Near falls, cool stuff. But Jericho at one moment was caught off guard with a T-bone suplex just like that, and Shelton was the new Intercontinental Champion. JR went bonkers. By God, Shelton Benjamin wins. Chris Jericho couldn't believe it, and this title change gave the impression that Taboo Tuesday was very unpredictable. It was a great way to start off the show. The ex-champion was pissed and took the title away from Shelton before putting it on his shoulder, showing a sign of respect. So now he was a champion. I personally believe it would have happened earlier if he never got himself injured. If he never got injured in June. But hey, better late than never. I do think it would have been cool to see him beat Orton for the gold, though, at Vengeance instead of Edge. His first title defense was against Jericho himself on Raw the following week. The match was of course good. I mean, this time around they actually had time to plan out the thing. There's some cool ass counters that led to Shelton's victory, and Jericho, it seemed like he was doing his homework, but it just wasn't working out once again. The W cemented Shelton's title reign and showed that big things were in store for him. Right after the match, though, Christian made a run-in and assaulted the champion, making his intentions clear. The following week, Shelton came out to return the favor, but Christian once again ran away. Captain Charisma admitted that he attacked him because of the Taboo Tuesday vote, and he made it seem like that he wanted to fight Shelton, but opted to have a one-night problem solver solve the problem. Tom Cole wasn't there. He was hurt, so Viscera, of all people, appeared. I believe this was his first appearance in about 4 years on Raw, because I remember he was with Gangrel on SmackDown. Not sure. Christian got involved in before he knew it. Shelton had taped ribs, so now he had to face Viscera. Later in the night, the match went down, and of course, Shelton took punishment. The IC champion wasn't afraid of no Mabel, but damage was being done. Things were looking very dire for one Shelton Benjamin, but Viscera made mistakes. There was opportunities to capitalize on for Shelton. Christian then came out to observe the action, and this is when Shelton caught Viscera with a kick to win the match. Captain Charisma tried to pick up the pieces, but ended up taking a T-bone suplex. The match was already announced for Survivor Series, I should know, but yeah. Tom Cole returned the following week and he got his ass beat by Shelton. Of course, it took a hell of a lot of effort to do so, and even Christian getting involved, who took a super kick, but it was done. Their match at Survivor Series was pretty damn good. It's definitely overlooked by myself. You know, for one, Christian debuted his new theme song, just close your eyes. They had enough time to go out there and cook something good. There's a cool moment there in the early going. Christian was up to no good, but Shelton was always one step ahead of him. It took external interference from Tom Cole for Christian to finally fight back. It wore down the champ for a bit, but this idea wasn't going to stick, so Tom Cole gets involved again. Shelton has fight in him, but Christian quickly puts a stop to it. Challenger makes one mistake, and this gives way to a Benjamin comeback. Mistake leads to a DDT, but Shelton kicks out. He tries cheating, but only hurts himself. Shelton goes up top and hits a clothesline, but it's still not enough for the victory. Tomko then comes in and whacks Shelton, but he kicks out. Tomko gets a kick into the face. Cool counters, and Shelton hits the T-bone to win. Good-ass match. That's just a short summary of what happened. I want to describe the match. There it is. It was fun, and I suggest you watch it if you're bored. And yeah, like, it's a gem in my eyes. I don't know about you guys, but I do underrate it. I don't really hear about it. I don't even talk about it in general. I mean, when was the last time you heard me talk about this match? Yeah, it was a decent match. It was good. Things were looking very bright for the All-American. I mean, at this point, he beat Chris Jericho twice, Triple H twice, Christian, a 3-time IC champion. He beat him at Survivor Series. I mean, you'd be crazy to bet against this guy and think to yourself, oh, this guy ain't becoming WWE champion or world champion. Following this, Shelton was given a chance to explain who and what he was about. They had these vignettes over the next couple of weeks, you know. He described some grim experiences he had growing up, his upbringing in Orangeburg, South Carolina, his collegiate success. And yeah, you're just getting to know the guy. If you didn't know him before, you definitely knew him now. Next challenger was actually Captain Charisma. Yep. I believe his villain story derives from Vince refusing to push him, maybe, I don't know. But in all seriousness, Jericho was the GM of Raw and I wanted to stick it to his ex-friend. Just because Christian was looking like a total goof didn't mean he was a goof inside the ring, because he actually dominated. There was a bunch of shenanigans, but despite this, Shelton remained in it. The mask ended up harming Christian, and Benjamin ended up retaining. So where does he go from here? Well, Maven, of all people, came knocking on his door. On the December 13th, 2004 episode of Raw, Shelton and Benjamin teamed up with Regal and Eugene to face a team of Christian, Tomko, and Maven. Once again, Shelton performed well. Eugene pulled out Mr. Sacco. Tomko tries to go for a boot, ends up getting kicked himself. And this is when Maven takes advantage to steal the win, and so he's got his number. As a result of this, a match was made for New Year's Revolution, and man, was that something else. It was something totally different, something from a house show, basically. I already covered it in this video, but long story short, Maven wasted 5 minutes on cursing out the fans, and once he gets back in the ring, boom, roll up, loses the match. Might demand in a rematch, calls Shelton some mean words, and once he runs in, boom, a T-bone to lose again. It was odd, I don't get why they did it, but hey, heat, right? They had an actual match the next night, but it was non-title. Shelton won. Maven was uber aggressive trying to win that spot, but since he sucks, well, at least in WWE management's eyes, he lost. Next challenger ended up being Simon Dean 3 weeks later. Of course, he tried cheating to win. It's tradition win against Shelton, but it ended up being a simple victory for the IC champion. Right afterwards, Simon tried to make it seem like his system, the Simon system, was the only reason why Shelton got the victory in the first place, but he wasn't having it. He was in form at this point, and ain't nobody stopping him. But then he ran into a brick wall. That being Gene Snitsky. On the February 14th, 2005 episode of Raw, Shelton Benjamin defended the gold against Snitsky. The match saw Shelton bring the fight. He put in a valiant effort, but Snitsky was aggressive. So aggressive that he ended up disqualifying himself, and he was refusing to hold himself responsible, you know, it wasn't my fault. They had a rematch the following week that saw the tables turn, you know, Shelton was the one who got DQ'd, so a rubber match was made for the week after that. During that match, Snitsky tried cheating once again. Shelton was quick, and he ended up getting the clean victory. Shortly afterwards, the first Money in the Bank ladder match was made for WrestleMania 21, and Shelton was featured. The match itself was a highlight reel that will forever live on, and I find it funny that this match, well, in my eyes, at least, has yet to be topped. Like, 25 other Money in the Bank ladder matches occurred afterwards, and they have yet to top the very first one. Anyways, Benjamin was the go-to spot guy. He was definitely MVP during this match in my eyes, at least for me. I mean, when was the last time you saw a guy T-bone someone off the top of a ladder? And best of all, that spot. I mean, this is a spot I've emulated on SmackDown vs. Raw for years afterwards. I just remember as a kid, I just loved when it was the Money in the Bank ladder match, singles ladder match, whatever. You'd run up that ladder and clothesline him. I always loved that spot. And it was so good that it was included on the Raw intro. I'll never forget that moment, and it's always been a memorable spot since I was a kid. Of course, Shelton didn't win the match, but his performance will never be forgotten. One of my favorite performances for a superstar in a ladder match, definitely. I really love this. Cody Rhodes in 2013, a couple of others. But yeah, this one might be at the very top of the list in terms of Money in the Bank performances. Even though he's banged up, Shelton defended the gold against both Christian and Chris Jericho the next night on Raw. The three men are, of course, sore from that ladder match, and the match itself was actually the beginning of Jericho and Shelton's feud. First of all, the guys didn't even take it easy. They went all out to entertain the fans. There was some fast-paced stuff. The LA crowd was into it. It may be a gem. Shelton ended up stealing her from out of nowhere with a bulldog, and since Jericho lost, you know, he doesn't like losing, he invited Shelton Benjamin to the highlight reel the following week, and he made it clear. He wanted redemption, and the champ wasn't happy to hear it. Hell, he even warned Y2J that if he steps into the ring with him, his problems will only get worse. Jericho sarcastically praised his title run, of course. He mentioned his 7 title victories, and claimed that the only reason why Shelton still has it is because he hasn't made it his business yet. But that changes now. Why? Because Chris Jericho wants the Intercontinental title. Shelton, on the other hand, was tipping a fine line between confidence and arrogance. He was straight up telling Jericho, like, there's not a single star on the roster that is as athletically gifted as I am, stuff like that. So Jericho then responded. He asked him, to shove that title into his ass. And Shelton's response, well, I can take this fist and create more hits than the last Fozzy album. Then Jericho asks him if he's heard of the new Fozzy song. What's the name? Well, it's called Shelton. Benjamin's a little bitch. They began tossing chairs, push came to shove, and they brawled. So these guys are back to fighting once again. The following week saw the debut of the new Fozzy single, Shelton's a Little Bitch. So the champ sets to face Simon Dean, but Jericho interrupts. He announces that the IC title match is on for Backlash, and as a gesture of goodwill, he wanted to serenade the champ with Fozzy's new single. So he brings out the lead guitarist of Fozzy, and Y2J performed the hit single, Shelton, Shelton's a little... Shelton's a little bitch. If only Jericho made this a regular occurrence and sang it to Cena, Christian, or whoever the hell he was going to face on pay-per-view. The song clearly got to Shelton's head as he struggled in his match with Simon Dean, but he managed to make a comeback late in the match to win it. Despite this, Shelton ended up saving Y2J the following week from a La Resistance attack. Right afterwards, Jericho of course had to remind him of Sunday in a very arrogant manner, so the champ hit the T-bone suplex. The match at Backlash was probably both men's best match together, definitely. Once again, Jericho was the de facto heel, just rough and aggressive. Benjamin was mad agile. I mean, stuff like this wasn't happening so often in the WWE at the time. The fans are fickle, I mean. They were unsure of who to root for. Initially, they cheered for Shelton, then for Jericho. There was cool roll-ups, cool near falls, moments like this when you think it's it, but Jericho's foot is on the rope. This moment, yeah, it was great stuff. Y2J was essentially focused on getting him to tap, but he didn't do that. The ending itself, once again, awesome, you know. They did a couple of combinations of roll-ups, and it ended with Jericho's shoulders down on the mat. He got angry, of course, but what was he going to do about it? Hell, he even dodged Todd Grisham, who was asking him for his thoughts regarding the match. But yes, another gem. These guys couldn't exactly do anything wrong with one another. The next night on Raw saw Shelton Benjamin compete in what was his greatest match in WWE. So first of all, Chris Jericho before the match admitted that he was wrong about Shelton, and it seemed like things were good between them. Y2J himself was craving a world title shot instead of the IC title. By the sounds of his voice, he was desperate for that gold. He felt like his time was almost up. As for the match itself, the commentary was very good. JR was freaking out over Michaels' entrance. This was because he was a surprise entrant in the Gold Rush tournament, and he knew it was good before he even started. Both men put out a superb performance, and this thing was suited for a damn pay-per-view. Hell, it's even suited for a Big Four event. That's how good it is. Shelton frustrated Michaels in the early going. They told such a great story there with HBK trying to keep up with Shelton, and the guy, Benjamin, was trying to play HBK's game by the looks of it. If you're a wrestling fan, I'm pretty sure this is in your top 10 TV matches for WWE, for sure. It just has to be. That's how good it was. They really treated Shelton like a huge deal. The commentary team, they were praising him. They made it seem like he was on Shawn Michaels' level. And yeah, that's what I think. The crowd was really into it. I was into it. You were definitely into it. And then it got even better. So Shelton went for a springboard. I believe he was going to go for the Bulldog, although he's too far away. And from out of nowhere, Shawn Michaels hits the super kick, the sweet chin music. It was truly some ridiculous stuff. JR shouting, oh my God, in heaven. I loved it. Shelton, in my eyes, he got a little in over his head, and that's what cost him. He thought the aerial move was the way to go, but it ended up being his wrongdoing. Unfortunately, though, this was as good as it was going to get for Shelton Benjamin because he never seemed to get past that level. Back to Jericho. The following week, Benjamin managed to save Y2J from a Hassan and Daivari attack. The problem with this was the fact that later in the night, Hassan and Daivari attacked him, Shelton, and Y2J was nowhere to be found. So as a result of these attacks, a match was booked for the May 16th episode of Raw, pitting Hassan and Daivari against Chris Jericho and Shelton Benjamin. Y2J was pretty damn energetic during the match, and at some points it seemed like he was going to figure it out alone, but Hassan caught him off guard to win the match. He was so upset with this loss that he didn't even acknowledge Benjamin's presence and just walked away. The IC champion confronted the first undisputed champ about this, but he didn't seem bothered. He was way more focused on hosting VH1 programs, Fozzy, and in his eyes, these are his words, losing a wrestling match? No big deal. You can see where this is going. This was apparent the following week again when Benjamin was stuck in a tricky situation. So he set to team up with Y2J again, but he didn't even show up to the arena. Champ lost, of course, and right after the match, he finally appeared. Todd Grisham informed him that he missed the match and he was feeling sorry, but not sorry enough. Like, he was a bit regretful of his actions, but his priorities mattered to him more than the matches in the arena. Later that night, Shelton did confront Jericho about the tag thing, and once again, Jericho apologized but tried to make him look from his perspective. You know, I got a lot of stuff going on, but then he said that being late is a luxury he can afford because he's Chris Jericho, and no matter what he does, the Jerichoholics will always be on his side. They booed, of course. So it seemed like they were leaning towards a heel turn. And I just don't understand why they abandoned it. I'll get into it soon, hold on. The following week saw Benjamin challenge La Resistance in a triple threat match for the gold. Focus was more on that team exploding rather than Shelton defending against them, but he escaped. That wasn't even it because the week after that, he was forced to defend it in a handicap match against Hassan and Daivari. This was done by Bishop Bischoff to prevent a lawsuit in kayfabe because Batista flat out destroyed them. During the match, Hassan thought he won it. Turned out Shelton's foot is on the rope. Daivari coming in trying to put the title on his waist, but the match was quickly restarted. Afterwards, Shelton struggled greatly. They targeted his arm, and it was definitely a bullseye, but at a moment's notice, he got rid of Hassan and hit the T-bone on Daivari to retain the title. Even though he escaped that battle, for some reason, he once again faced Hassan for the title the week after that. I don't even get why. This time, though, Stone Cold was in Hassan's corner after his complaints towards the system. During the match, Hassan low-blowed Shelton before going for the camel clutch. Austin takes notice and kicks his head, which got a laugh out of me, and proceeds to stop a mud hole in him. And then, he decides to announce Hassan as the winner by DQ before stunning him, and of course, the assist came from Shelton. So up to this point, he defended the title 3 times in a row. Chris Jericho, nowhere to be found. The feud is basically over. It's abandoned. I wouldn't say it's over. It's abandoned. Straight up. And yeah, that was what's going on. On the June 20th, 2005 episode of Raw, Eric Bischoff called for Shelton Benjamin to come out. Jerry Lawler said that he has a shaky background, and JR quickly schooled him. He absolutely owed him. Bischoff felt that he should book Shelton in a match against the new draft pick. Why? Because that's the way Shelton won the title at Taboo Tuesday. You know, he challenged Jericho, was completely unaware of who it was going to be. The champ knew where this was going and called for the SmackDown guy to come out to the ring. When the music played, well, he was caught completely off guard because it was Carlito, Caribbean, cool. The title match itself was decent, you know, they had something better. Vengeance was still good enough. Benjamin was on quite a roll, but ended up being rolled over, and Carlito stole it from under him, just like that, to become the new Intercontinental champion. Damn, that was abrupt. Just like that, he ended his title reign. Honestly, I thought it was good. I thought it was awesome. You know, Shelton, he was beating everyone that challenged for the gold. He was looking really good out there. That's one thing I gotta mention. I think he deserved to ascend to the top. He should have gotten a manager in my eyes. I think that would have helped greatly. Hey, that's my opinion. You have yours. I think Shelton could have been much bigger than he was. The guy always got the crowd excited for the matches and whatnot. Yeah. I think he could have been something. As it relates to the Jericho feud, I just don't understand what the hell they were going for. Actually, I do understand what they were going for, but I don't understand why they abandoned it just like that. I think they realized that John Cena shouldn't challenge Christian, and they had Jericho slot into that role. They should have kept the feud going and have Jericho turn heel and face him at Vengeance, put him over before going after Cena, I think. I don't know. I mean, that story was looking good. Like Chris Jericho, he'll blast someone with a chair, and he's like, you guys are going to cheer me, right? Because I'm Chris Jericho. Then they'll boo him or whatever, and then he turns on them. I think he could have been cool. They didn't do it. That's my opinion. But yes, title reign, one of my favorites of the 2000s, definitely. Top 5 mid-card title reigns for the 2000s. It's up there with the Chris Benoit runs and all that stuff. Shelton, he was putting on monster matches, and this video would have been longer if he spoke, for sure. He just didn't speak a lot. This is all I could get out of it. And yeah, what did you guys think of this title reign? Please comment down below. And that's your first video. Make sure you hit a kick on the like button and perhaps the T-bone suplex on the subscribe button. Peace. I'm out.